Good evening, Marie-Louise Thiel. A lucky escape for a Melbourne pilot today, forced to crash land his plane on a soccer field at Seaford. Jeff Gardner, 39, walked away from the wreckage after guiding his aircraft down to miss a highway, hundreds of homes and a man walking his dogs.
The ocean didn't look too good, the beach didn't look too good, golf course too small, the oval's too small, so when this was available, I took it.
In Perth, former high flyer Laurie Connell in jail tonight after being found guilty of conspiracy. But the judge acquitted Connell on a more serious charge of rigging a horse race back in 1983. The ambulance service has broken its silence to reject claims government cutbacks are costing lives. Overseas, celebrations are reaching a climax across South Africa as the inauguration of President-elect Nelson Mandela approaches. The ANC formally takes over power tomorrow. And in sports, St full forward Tony Lockett will know tomorrow if he's to face trial by video charges arising from yesterday's match against Sydney. Weather tomorrow at top of 16.
The erotic suspense thriller starring Al Pacino, John Goodman and Ellen Barkin. Sea of Love, 8:30 Sunday. This program proudly brought to you by the new Uncle Toby's Breakfast Bars and Medibank Private.
Tonight on Healthy, Wealthy and Wise, we meet some people who always lend a hand. Ronnie Burns starts preparing a cottage garden that will be in perfect bloom for this spring. Ian visits a traditional country retreat to cook a variation on a traditional country recipe. And Jim Brown visits the beautiful Freycinet National Park to experience the setting sun in all its glory. Hi and welcome to the show. Glad you could join us. Well, we're all familiar with these. Seen by some as marvels of communication, by others a modern-day curse. Well, tonight, Ross Greenwood dials up the latest on mobile phones. Also, Tonya Todman enlists the help of a couple of experienced craft hands to make some serious dough for playing. But first, I'd like to introduce you to some wonderful Australians. They're just some of the many volunteers around the country that give generously of their time to enrich the lives of others. I'm lending a hand at a Salvation Army soup kitchen, making sure everyone that drops in here leaves with a warm and contented stomach. About 10 people put this spread together here every night to feed people that probably haven't yet eaten today and would go hungry if it wasn't for places like this. There are hundreds of soup kitchens around the country that are run out of the kindness of the hearts of people like 23-year-old Rowena, who is here with wooden spoon in hand nearly every night of the week. Rowena, how many people will we be feeding today?
We serve about 400 to 500 meals a night.
Wow, to what sort of people? I gather there's a few characters that come through here.
Yeah, we get quite a diverse range of people actually. It starts from children to teenagers to families to old people.
Now, what made you come down here and help out?
I came down about 2 years ago just to help out in a look, and I've sort of come back ever since. It's great to see that you can actually help out.
This week is National Volunteers Week, a good time to appreciate people like Rowena and a great chance too to entice some new recruits to Australia's volunteer network, the strongest and largest volunteer network per capita anywhere in the world. According to Rick Holland from the National Volunteers Association, there's no doubt that Australians have big hearts.
That's right, 1 in 4 of our population are volunteers. Australians are famous for giving it a go, and they certainly do in the field of volunteering.
Well, that's something we can all be really proud of.
It is, certainly.
Now, what sort of people are volunteers? Is there a stereotype?
No, forget the stereotype. Volunteers come from all walks of life and represent all ages. It's roughly split 50-50 between men and women. Children are volunteers in schools, and right through to old age pensioners. An incredible range of age and background.
Now, why do you think that so many people are willing to give up their time?
Well, people volunteer for a whole range of different reasons. Obviously, there are people who feel that it is simply good to help others, and there's nothing wrong with that. But as well as that, people volunteer because they want to gain new experiences, they want to meet new people, they want to develop skills, they want to be trained in new and exciting areas to do something different, and also to equip them for doing other things.
When fires swept through New South Wales earlier this year, devastating forest and homes, the Country Fire Authority called on their 80,000 volunteers to spring into action. When a swimmer becomes troubled at one of our popular beaches, a team of lifesavers comes to the rescue. Last season, Australia's 72,000 volunteer lifesavers performed over 8,000 rescues. The Country Fire Authority and the Lifesaving Clubs are two of Australia's largest and probably better known voluntary organisations. But there are lesser known ones of equal importance.
Of the 100,000 organisations that exist in Australia, it's inevitable that they cover every possible volunteer opportunity. Sport and recreation is a massive area in Australia, but as well as that, there are such things as in the fields of rehabilitation, in counselling, in crisis line work on the telephone, working with children, working with elderly people, the list goes on.
Now, as a volunteer, you're going to need to be trained for the job that you take on. If that's to be an active member of, say, the St John's Ambulance, the training's going to be fairly intense because you need to know what you're doing. But for a job like this, helping out at an op shop, you can usually learn the ropes on your first day. Whilst looking at various avenues for volunteer work, we met some very special people. Archie is one of them. 5 days a week for 10 years, he has done whatever he can to make life easier at this local elderly citizens daycare centre. That is, from feeding the cat to giving away a few trade secrets at the pool table.
Got it? Yes. Now, let's see you put one of these in.
Most valued by the staff and visitors here are the smiles he puts on their faces. These people have become an important part of Archie's life too. Would you really miss it?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, I don't know what I'd do, really. Don't know what I would do to fill that gap now. I just don't know, because it would be, I'd have to start all over again, not at my age. Now, I would expect when I'm finished here, I'm finished for everything. Really. You know, something that I'm not very pleased about either. Sometimes I'm mistaken for a patient.
Vera could also be mistaken for a patient, here at Melbourne's Northwest Hospital, where she has visited 3 times a week for 65 years. At the age of 6, these feet danced down the corridors to entertain the patients. Now in her 70s, she has slowed down to a brisk walk, stopping along the way to spread her cheer.
Hello, dear. How are you? Oh, not bad, thanks. How are you?
Good, thanks. Been a good girl?
Yeah, always.
There's a lot to be done, but not manually. You know, sometimes I take washing home and do it. So other times I might do a bit of mending for them, or buying, or writing a letter, or doing a message, or making a phone call. They're only little things, but they mean such a lot to these people.
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Friendships and relationships are the essence of true volunteering. It's inevitable when people share time together on a voluntary basis. There are a whole lot of organisations throughout Australia that aim particularly to combat the problem of loneliness. So they recruit young people to be friends to old people who are alone. They also recruit elderly people as foster grandparents to children who perhaps are a long way away from their own grandparents or who haven't any.
Many volunteer organisations' #1 aim is to strike up relationships to either combat loneliness or, like foster grandparents, introduce a volunteer like Faye to someone who can do with a little extra help, like Steve. It works so well that the foster grandparent becomes part of the family. So what do you call your nan?
Nan Faye.
Nan Faye, is that right, is it?
Yeah.
That's right, yes.
Now, how often do you see each other?
Come to my flat, don't you?
Yes.
And they pick me up mostly about once a week.
You don't have to join an organisation to be a volunteer. Archie or Vera didn't. You can simply call your state volunteer centre, who can give you some options, let you know where help is most needed, and for safety and security reasons, make initial contact for you. From then, volunteering in your neighbourhood can be as easy as taking an immobile elderly person's dog for a walk or putting their bins out. It might be tuck shop duty or listening to reading at the local primary school or assisting disabled or elderly people with transport.
You're listening to PBS FM 106.7. My name's Dean, and coming up now we've got the 13th floor elevators.
Not all volunteer jobs are working with the needy. If you have a special interest or hobby, there are many fascinating jobs you can do to enrich your life and help the community. If you love the media, there is properties, join the National Trust. If you have a special talent, maybe athletics, you can turn your skills to coaching. For those interested in art, take tours through an art gallery. And for something different, how about steam train preservation? The options are endless.
And coming up next, the Freycinet Peninsula in northeastern Tasmania. Magic scenery, magic sunsets.
New Uncle Toby's breakfast bars, for all the times you don't have time for breakfast.
Before things get on top of you, take out hospital cover with Medibank Private, Australia's #1 health fund. And not only will we waive the usual 2-month waiting period, but you and a friend could win 5 nights at the luxurious Club Med Lindeman Island, flying Ansett Australia. See? Things are already looking up.
I feel better now.
In the universe, as big as this, there must be room for a world of kids. In the universe,
If you're buying a home, call the Bank of Melbourne and save on your home loan with a low rate of 6.95% fixed for 1 year. Then a low variable rate, no ongoing fees, and your own personal repayment plan. That's how the Bank of Melbourne can save you thousands of dollars on your home loan. Call 522-7888. 522-7888. The Bank of Melbourne cuts the cost of banking.
With a real slice of heaven from Mount Cook Line that won't cost you the earth. Airfare plus 6 days touring New Zealand in your own motorhome from only $602.
She don't know she's beautiful.
Heaven can't wait. Ring the New Zealand Tourism Board or your travel agent for this limited offer.
I'm wearing 3D glasses to get a better view of the world's first 3D toothbrush. Teeth aren't flat, they're three-dimensional. That's why the unique Colgate Precision was created. The first layer of bristles is shorter to clean the surface of your teeth. A second layer is longer to clean right in between. And thirdly, unique angled bristles to gently clean more plaque away from the gum line. That's why Colgate Precision with triple action bristles is a major advance in tooth and gum care.
Some cheeses taste better than others. Next time, you better buy Bega.
In
In Women's Day this week, Rachel Hunter signs up for world's most public birth and Christy and Billy's shock reunion. Anorexic twins' death pact ends in tragedy. Heather Lockley, a hot for sure's ex-lover. And Aussie mum reveals she had Catholic priest's love child. Stan Grant's real life with his schizophrenic sister. A Mormon bride exposes bizarre wedding rituals. And Fina's personal tarot hotline.
Tonight,
Don't represent it.
Jessica Lange.
It's not just another case to win.
In a story more riveting than Schindler's List.
They're accusing you of horrible things, Papa.
Hunted by a time the world would sooner forget.
Got the wrong man.
A father and daughter.
My father is simply an innocent man who is unjustly accused.
Trying to piece together the truth.
We are speaking of evil incarnate.
And prove him innocent.
I don't know how to fight this.
For the first time on television.
I'm not a beast, I'm a father.
Music Box, 8:30 tonight.
Set view to the west. The way the dying rays of each day interact with the bay and the mountains is something you can never forget. A double-room cabin here costs between $110 to $140 a night, depending on the time of year, whether or not there's a spa, and package discounts. Another new tourist development in Coles Bay is the Freycinet Marine Farm run by Andrea Cole. She farms oysters, the common Pacific oyster, and a local variety found only in Tasmania. A real delicacy.
Well, I've been marketing them as Bellon oysters because they're very, very similar to the European flat oyster. So we're actually marketing these particular oysters as Freycinet Bellons.
I love oysters.
I hope you enjoy it.
It's the only way to have an oyster. Can't get it fresher than that.
You really need another one to follow up to get the real flavour.
Now, Andrew, how did you get into taking tourists out in operations like this?
Well, we've had a lot of people coming and visiting the farm unofficially for a long time. A lot of school groups camp in this particular area, and part of their curriculum has been to come and visit the farm. And so we've opened up the farm to tours, and we talk to people a little bit about what we do, and then give them a nice jolly on the boat and feed them oysters straight out of the water.
That's great. This trip, and more than enough oysters to eat, costs just $12. Andrea's a remarkable person. She runs the business and even designed the boat to double as a working platform and to carry tourists. I've watched you working, and you're a hard worker. You earn whatever money you're making out of this.
Oh, I enjoy it. Anything that keeps me in this lovely area, I don't mind.
If you're fit and looking for something more strenuous, a company called Freycinet Experience offers walking tours out of a place nearby called Friendly Beaches. Our guide and qualified environmental expert, Stephen Turner. I just got to tell you, when you come around here and look at this now, you just wouldn't believe this is Tasmania. This beach is just marvellous.
Yes, the colours are fantastic, and it's a very common comment that we get.
Steve, it's a great feeling to be walking barefoot along this beach. It's just, again, it's such a beautiful beach.
Yes, I always encourage people to take their shoes off, because it's wonderful to feel the sand.
And I can see why you need sunglasses here. Very, very bright.
Yes.
I mean, I've seen no beach like this to compare with it, except, say, Fraser Island in Queensland. It's just so clean, sand so white.
The comparisons are often made. In fact, it's probably cleaner and a very pristine environment to be in.
Except the sea, I suppose, would be a good 10 degrees colder in Queensland.
Yes, well, it's probably its saving grace. It's probably why it is still as it is, because perhaps of the temperature of the water. But we were in for a swim last night in the moonlight, and it is quite invigorating.
You know, even some Tasmanians, especially the ones from down south, don't know what an environmental jewel they have in Friendly Beaches. Named, by the way, after the cordial relations the French explorers enjoyed with the local Aborigines, who sadly are no longer here to enjoy this beautiful place. Freycinet Experience offers 4-day walks along the coast and mountains. At times you have to rough it a bit, but not with the food, as we found out at the company's lodge, idyllically situated close to the beach. Now, something else you can do in this part of the world is the great downhill ride near Ch10 through the Elephant Pass, and I've got Paul Mail with me here, who started this tourist operation. And Paul, how did it all begin?
Oh, basically Nick and I were sitting around thinking it would be a great way to go down the Elephant Pass. It's scenic, it's quiet, not a lot of traffic around, and it's great fun.
It's a beautiful way to see the scenery, and the Elephant Pass is, I believe, 10 kilometres downhill.
Yeah, that's correct, yeah. 10 k's all the way to sea level, from 360 metres above down to 0. So it's a fair height to the bottom.
I know you can get good speeds going down here, Paul, but that's not really the purpose of the exercise, is it?
Well, not really. We like everyone to come down here in one piece. So, you know, the scenery, just the exhilaration, freewheeling all the way to the base is part of it.
And how much does it cost, Paul?
$25, Jim. That includes your shuttle bus run up to the top of the pass here, a pancake at the pancake barn, the bike, and then we return you back to your accommodation in Ch10.
And for those worried about cycling uphill, you don't have to do that, do you?
No, that's the great beauty of it. We don't have to go anywhere uphill at all.
Ch10 is a pretty little coastal town north of the Freycinet Peninsula with good accommodation and, like the whole area, has excellent fresh seafood from the fishing boats. Some say the cooler temperatures have saved this part of Australia from being ruined by ugly tourist developments. That may be true, but the northeast of Tasmania has a milder climate and warmer sea currents than the southern part of the island. Winter or summer, it's beautiful and offers a peaceful, relaxing environment with plenty of room to move. The pace here is delightfully slower than other parts of Australia. For example, the chain of lagoons just north of Ch10 has a beachside camping area. It's free, but you can't stay here permanently. A sign on the reserve said you can stay here for only 4 months before you have to move on. Your local travel agent or Tourism Tasmania can provide you with the many options available to enjoy one of the prettiest and most unspoilt places in Australia.
Both these phones in just a few years' time will be dinosaurs, and coming up after the break, we show you the cost of mobile phones.
Because Australia's #1 health fund is probably a lot less expensive than you think, at the end of the day, you'll feel even better.
Some cheese slices taste better than others. Next time, better buy Bega.
Imagine winning a holiday on sun-drenched Hamilton Island. Call this number now and find out how you can win a Hamilton Island holiday or other prizes, including a brand new Saab 900. So call now and you could be off to the Hamilton Island Holiday Inn Crown Plaza Resort.
Leave the lights on night, did you?
Yeah. How much is this going to cost?
Well, this particular battery, there's no charge.
Oh, no, there's no charge. That's why I called you.
No. I mean, there's absolutely no charge.
Of course. That's why I need a jump start.
No. Even if you called me out again tomorrow, there'd still be no charge.
If you let your Marshall Free Start battery run flat, give us a holler and we'll shout you 2 free jump starts.
They wouldn't.
Which bank's home loan lets you put your other loans on the house and pay home loan rates instead? So your car could be paid off much sooner, or your boat. You could lower the repayments on your kitchen, or that little place for the kids. In fact, you can use the saving any way you wish. For the home loan that lets you include your other loans, come to the Commonwealth Bank.
The experts agree that Patak's range of curries, chutneys and breads has the authentic taste of the finest Indian cuisine. Now it's Australia's turn to try Patak's. Such variety, so easy to prepare. Exciting, spicy flavor everyone loves. That's Patak's. Now in your supermarket. The true taste of India. The new taste for Australia.
For versatile sorbent. It's Australia's most absorbent paper towel.
He's left the big smoke to become more independent, but now...
Don't do this to me, guy.
Look who's paying a visit.
Ma.
He's overprotective.
Aren't you pleased to see me?
Interfering.
She thinks I'm daughter-in-law material.
Meddling.
You like Claire?
Mama.
No, I've got my own life now. But I'm afraid I'm losing you. How about me losing you?
Vince Colosimo stars as Danny Sabatini.
I love you.
In a heartwarming Mother's Day episode of A Country Practice, 7:30 Wednesday on 10.
Call me a yuppie if you like. I've got a mobile phone. Well, this isn't quite it. This is one of the original mobile phones ever seen in Australia. Now, it's a museum piece today, hence the gloves. But the funny thing is that this is my mobile phone. It costs around $1,600, and there are now more than 1 million users right across Australia, which includes families, businessmen, and even these days kids. But the funny thing is that my mobile phone, in just a couple of years, is going to be as much a museum piece as this one. And the reason is a change in technology. Now, the man who's responsible for that change of technology is Ian Slattery, who's the boss of Austel. And he's going to virtually make our $1,600 or $1,000 phones worthless. Now, I'm not too happy about that. I reckon we should give Ian a call and have a bit of a whinge. Let's see how we go.
Ian Slattery speaking.
Yeah, hi, Ian. It's Ross Greenwood here. OK, I know about digital and analogue. I've heard about that. Can you explain it to me in a couple of minutes' time, say, down in your foyer?
Sure, Ross, no problem. I'll meet you in the foyer.
OK, I'm there now. See ya. Hello, Ian.
Hello, Ross. How are you?
Now, listen, before we start, this phone... will you trade it in for me? It's going to be virtually worthless in a couple of years' time. What do you think?
Well, it's not quite that bad, Ross. Why don't we sit down and discuss it?
All right, then. Because I think a lot of people are going to be very upset because this is an analogue phone and there are digital phones, but analogue phones are virtually going to disappear in a couple of years' time.
Well, perhaps I'll explain to you exactly what's happening. Firstly, the current system is facing some capacity difficulties. In Australia, we're connecting approximately 40,000 customers per month to the network. But what it will mean is that the total number of customers that will ultimately be on the network will not be able to be supported. So what we need is a new network which can provide that extra capacity. And essentially that's what the new digital networks will do. From now until 1996, people will have the choice of connecting their mobile phone to one of the 3 new digital networks or connecting it to the existing analogue network. Now, from 1996 through to the year 2000, they'll still have that same choice, except during that period, the existing system will be phased out.
After the year 2000, there'll be only one system, digital, and there'll be 3 networks, Telecom, Optus and the newcomer Vodafone, which is big in Britain. So with 1 million people already on the analogue system, which is going to be phased out soon, what should we buy today? Well, according to the boss of the company which sells more mobile phones than anybody else in the country, there's still only one choice. You're going to sell me a digital phone or an analogue phone today?
Well, I would try to sell you an analogue phone because the digital network, it doesn't have coverage, the price of the phones are too expensive, and the size of the phones are too big.
Despite the government's best efforts?
The government has to rethink that policy, and they've got to start rethinking it really soon, because there's 1 million people out there that are going to get pretty upset when they realise that come the year 2000, there might be a few 100,000 people on the digital network, but there's going to be a few million people on the analogue network.
So, what does a digital system do that the current analogue system doesn't do?
As well as providing for extra much-needed capacity, the system will be more secure. People won't be able to listen in on your phone calls. The battery life, for example, will be a lot longer than what it is on existing analogue mobile phone sets. It'll have additional features such as incorporated paging and some various call management features as well.
So you can see the problem. If you buy the traditional analogue phone, its coverage around Australia is about 90%, but the system's going to be phased out soon. If you go for digital, with all its technology, your coverage could be just 60%. Now, on the subject of coverage, one big complaint is that mobile phone calls frequently drop out.
In any mobile network, you can't get an even coverage everywhere because you've got mountains and valleys and it's just too difficult to do. The other reason is that because the system is starting to reach capacity limitations and because so many more people are coming onto the network, people will start to experience service difficulties such as calls dropping out, not being able to get a line when you want to make a call. One of the advantages with the new digital networks is that because they'll have that extra capacity, it'll be able to handle the extra number of customers that come on board.
Well, now you've got your choices, but what about the cost of phones themselves, and how about the cost of those calls?
At the bottom end, we'll see phones at $4.99, $3.99, not much cheaper than that unless they're second-hand phones. I can give you a nice second-hand phone for $200.
Oh, show me one of those. I'd like to have a look at those $200 phones.
Well, this is one of the first phones that was launched on the market. It came out in grey when it first came out in 1987, and this was like $6,000, $5,500 upwards. Today, I'll give this to you for $200.
$200, surely you can do a bit better than that. How about 150? We might be able to do a deal.
150, it's probably still yours. But what we'll see is the difference between this price and this one come closer.
Yeah.
So where this is $14.95 and this is $499, we'll see this one come down, but not this one so much.
Since we've had competition in mobile phone services in Australia, we've seen prices not only for the handsets drop, but also prices for call usage drop. Now, what we're expecting is with the 3 new digital networks coming on board, we should see those prices continue to fall. And on a worldwide scale, Australia is probably in the mid-range in terms of pricing.
Oh, sorry about that. Sorry. Now, you know what it's like when a mobile phone goes off anywhere. It does cause embarrassment. And I must admit, because mobile phones are so new, there's no real etiquette as to when you should or shouldn't use them. But the Telecommunications Ombudsman, Warwick Smith, says you shouldn't use them really in any public place. And that includes a church, obviously. It also includes sporting events, the theatre, any restaurant, of course, also. Now, these days, the technology's improving, so you can get mobile phones and also pagers which will vibrate. And that can certainly alleviate some of the problems with mobile phones going off in public. You should use them. That way, of course, your mobile phone won't act as a source of embarrassment for you.
Coming up after the break, some good old-fashioned hospitality, and I present my lamb's fry and bacon.
New Uncle Toby's breakfast bars, for all the times you don't have time for breakfast.
Live it up on Queensland Gold Coast Enjoy the casual elegance of the Marriott Surfers Paradise Resort. Ride the water slide or relax by the private sandy beaches set on blue lagoons for 3 nights from just $549 flying Ansett Australia. For your Sun Lover brochure, call your travel agent or the Queensland Government Travel Centre. Call now for details.
Splish splash, I was taking a bath on about a Saturday night. A rubber dub, just relaxing in the tub, thinking everything was alright. Well, I stepped out the tub and put my feet on the floor. I wrapped the towel around me and I opened the door, and then a splish splash, I jumped back in the bath. Well, how was I to know there was a party going on? There was a splishing and a splashing, reeling with a feeling, moving and a grooving, rocking and rolling.
Put the rubber dub back in the tub with new Pear's Extra Mild Shampoo. The fun 2-in-1 with real family appeal.
There was a splishing and a splashing.
Some cheeses taste better than others. Next time, you better buy Bega.
RACV Claims Advisory, Kay speaking.
My name's Keith Anderson.
Stunning.
It's a hand glove. What happened to the car? The man behind us forgot to stop. It's a bit of a bother.
You should be with RACV Insurance. Claims are approved in a day. You don't have to fill out any forms. And they guarantee the repairs for 3 years, even if you choose your own repairer.
What sort of insurance company does that?
RACV Insurance. It's not just another insurance company.
Maybe I'm not as silly as I look.
It's driven by instinct. It hunts for pleasure, and it can't be stopped.
I think we may have another shark problem.
Roy Scheider stars in the terrifying sequel to Spielberg's masterpiece, Double the Thrills. Jaws 2, Wednesday on 10.
You know, Australia has always been famous for its country hospitality. And it's great with my travels on Healthy, Wealthy and Wise to see that this is still the case. Random House at Rochester in northern Victoria is no exception. But not only is the welcome wonderful, but the restoration of this fabulous Victorian mansion has to be seen to be believed. I caught up with one of the owners of Random House, Len Keeper, strolling through the gardens of this magnificent property. Len, I have to tell you, these are the most dangerous trees in the world. One of those fig things dropped on my head a minute ago.
I'm not surprised. They drop on everyone's head.
This is magnificent. How long have you been here?
10 years.
10 years. You ever get up in the morning and think, what am I doing?
No, I get up in the morning and know exactly what I'm doing.
Working hard.
Like a Trojan, you couldn't believe it.
Why did you decide to get into this kind of business? Because it's a hard business, isn't it?
Yes, Ian.
Hard work.
We actually didn't decide it. Somebody else decided it for us. His wife had twins. He wanted somewhere to have a dinner. He had the dinner here. And then his aunt came and thought, wouldn't it be great to stay the night here rather than having a few drinks and driving home?
Sure.
And that's how we started off.
So how many rooms do you have?
We have 3 double rooms and 1 twin room. They've all got their own private facilities.
Right. And of course, you're famous for your food.
Oh, look, they come from all over the world to taste it, you know.
Very modest as well, too.
Very, very. And the moment they know that Ian Hewittson's been here, I mean, we'll be booked out 8 nights a week.
Everyone will want to go.
Everybody will want to.
There really is a sort of a leaning towards people actually relaxing. This is one of the most relaxing places I've seen. Did you set it up with this in mind?
No, but I think that the people that we purchased the house from, Ian, said that this has always been a house that you've been able to relax in. And when she said it when we were buying it, I thought, I've heard that before. But truly, it is a house where you can relax.
Now, I thought while we're talking about good old-fashioned hospitality, why not talk about some good old-fashioned food? And how long since you ever had lamb's fry? It used to be a very popular dish when I was young. It's coming back. Would I lie to you? I'm telling you, this is absolutely the truth. And I'm going to do a sort of a Hewitson version, as usual. And what I've got here, I've started a little bit early. I've been cheating over here. I've just got some red onion, which I've sautéed very lightly in a little bit of oil. And to that, I'm going to add some sliced apple. No Granny Smiths, any cooking apple's fine. And I'm just going to cook that down to sort of make, not a puree, you don't want it pureed, but you want a sort of a rough mixture to put on the bottom of it. Fairly soft. Right, and I'll just bung that on there. This is one of those kind of dishes that's layered. You know, I'm having this sort of rough mix of apple and onion on the bottom, then I'm going to do the calf's liver, and on top I'm going to do something that has a really nice feel. And actually, I'm telling lies, lamb's liver, not calf's liver. Right, so what I'm going to make is a mustard and thyme butter to go on top. And I've just got some soft butter here. Don't have it melted, but just have it soft. And I've got some fresh thyme, which I've just chopped up, and some French mustard. And I'll just mix those together. I mean, you can't get much simpler than this. Just mix those three together. You can put some salt and pepper in if you like. I've used unsalted butter. I prefer it without salt in it, but I mean, that's personal taste. So we just mix that together well. You can see if you tried to put the mustard in hard butter, it wouldn't work. So make sure that the butter is soft, not melted. Let's have a look at our apple mix. That's coming along quite well. And what I'm then going to do to that is I've just got a little, I'm cheating today, I really am cheating. What I've got here is a little bit of chicken stock powder and some water. You could use a real stock if you like, but you really don't need to because you don't actually want the taste of chicken. You want it to taste of the apples and onions. Right, add that there. Leave that to cook away. And last but not least, the lamb's fry. It's funny actually, this used to be, as I said, really popular. It's starting to come back and it's so cheap. The big thing about it is here is I've got some decent thick slices. I remember my mother used to cut them so thin that it was awful. But decent thick slices, and always cut out all the nodules and all the bits of veins and things. That's the only way it'll be really good. And just a little bit of oil in the pan. And of course you can't have lamb's fry without bacon, so I'm going to add some bacon to it. I'll put the bacon in first, so that I can then use the bacon fat combined with the oil to cook the liver. Get the best bacon, so, you know, one of those wonderful home-cured country ones or something like that. Just like everything else, when the dish is simple, unless the ingredients are good, it won't work. Now that's cooking down quite nicely, but I think it could do with a little bit more of the stock. Righty-ho. Now, the liver. Some flour. Flour it reasonably well. You don't want 3 tons of the stuff on it. And always into a very hot pan. Now, the secret with liver is always cook it very briefly. It will continue to cook. You want it pinkish in the centre. Don't have it well done. But if you have to, yeah, just don't tell me. Right. How are we coming along? I seem to be doing 10 things at once here. Some freshly ground pepper on the liver, of course. And let's turn it over. See, you want a nice brown crust. See, that's looking good. That bit's looking good. That one's not. We'll put that on the hotter part. I always seem to be cooking on a lean. Is it something that I do? But, you know, there's always one side of the pan that's hotter than the other. I think they do it to test me. I made this mistake once of saying I can cook on anything. And I have, I promise you. Anyway, that's looking better. Let's have a look how we're going here. See, that's cooking down really nicely. Let's put a little bit of parsley in that just to give it a little bit of a gleam and a bit of colour. It's looking good. Liver's nearly ready. Bacon's looking good. I'm on a run here today. I can see it. Not far off. Yep, looking good. Right. Let's see if I can put it all together. That piece is about ready. Yes, turn those both off. We'll just put a nice little base of this. You know, you're not doing nouvelle cuisine. It doesn't have to be that neat, but you want it to look attractive, always. See, that's good. It's just cooked enough, so it's lost its crispness, got a bit of a glaze to it. And you can think about, you know, when you eat through the crispy outside of that liver and the bacon, and then you've got that lovely softness down the bottom. Actually, I've got a bit excited there. I think I only need 2 bits. Just have a look here, Peter. Look how see the liver is lovely. It's got a nice crunchy outside, bit of bacon on the top. Maybe 2 if you're greedy. And last but not least, some of my mustard thyme butter, which will run off because it's quite maybe it shouldn't be quite that soft. But anyway, and some parsley to finish. And there you have, just like good old-fashioned hospitality, a great old-fashioned dish.
Beautiful morning it is. The weather's fine.
New Uncle Toby's breakfast bars for all the times you don't have time for breakfast.
A different hair colour. That's what I want. But I need a brilliant, natural colour that's soft on my hair.
Wella's Soft Colour, the revolutionary hair colour range without ammonia. It's as gentle as a rinse, but lasts up to 30 shampoos. Wella's Soft Colour, gentle, vibrant, natural. Wella, perfectly you.
To cruise to the most exotic, unusual tropical islands in the South Pacific, fly with P&O. Instead of cruising from Australia, we'll fly you straight to Fiji, where Fairstar is waiting. So you can spend more time cruising where big ships have never cruised before.
Take me away,
Book now and fly to cruise to paradise.
It's not enough money to replace the car.
If a car is under a year old and written off, FAI replaces it with a brand new car. Don't get mad, get even. Call FAI 131000.
Okay, gourmets, my special recipe for soup. You take the freshest ingredients, oodles of noodles, and perhaps crunchy croutons. Then whack them in the fridge. For someone who makes soup the hard way. I get my real soup flavour with San Remo Supremo. Just add hot water. Hey, real soup cooked in a cup. Gives you time for more important things like cleaning your fridge magnets.
Real soup cooked in a cup. It always happens with San Remo Supremo. Sensational Michael Crawford and Barbara Streisand at her best.
You go your way and I'll go mine.
In a Hollywood classic. Hello, Dolly. 8:30 Friday on 10.
Well, autumn's here and it's that time of the year when people start rugging up and going indoors. But it's actually the time to come outside if you want to start preparing your garden for that beautiful cottage look of spring. It's not that hard and the results are very rewarding. A cottage garden is based on mass plantings of flowers, and while the effect may often look wild, there's usually a deliberate structure amongst the colour and plant life. The style is ideal for the surrounds of large rural houses and also works well in a smaller suburban garden. Judy Watkins has been designing and planting cottage gardens for the last 10 years and says that a cottage garden can comprise a myriad of flowers, textures and aromas.
Mock orange over here with the lovely irrigaron flowing
Which
down
is very
the wall.
Edna Walling, isn't it?
Very much so. And then there's all the little violas growing through here and lobelias and some lovely roses.
Very pretty.
Coming in here, there's chrysanthemums.
And all these lovely plants.
Cascading plants in the Bavaria here, which is rather highly perfumed.
Banksia, which is always popular.
Yes.
What's this one here?
Oh, that's the convolvulus, which loves the sun.
Look, that's so happy. You can't even see the wall.
Yeah,
there.
we give it a long hair, big haircut.
And that started as a little clump.
Yeah, just a little clump. So you don't need to buy great big,
Yeah.
expensive plants. They just start off as little clumps. And we've got the silver leaves here.
And the gardenias.
Yes,
Do most of these plants live all around Australia?
Yeah, these are very hardy. So these are particularly good in subtropical climates.
Roses are synonymous with cottage gardens, but if you choose old-fashioned roses, make sure that they are repeat flowerers. And if you want climber roses, pillar roses are a good alternative, as they also climb and are much easier to maintain. Well, Judy, is this the best time of the year to be planting roses because they're a bit cheaper?
Yes, it's a good time of the year to be planting roses. You can dig a hole there and we get started.
In here?
Yes, because when you buy them bare rooted, you're not paying for all the extras like pots, etc. So they're suitably a lot cheaper, around the $9–14 mark. That's fine. We'll pop a bit of water in there.
Is that deep enough?
Yeah, that one should be deep enough. We must make sure that it's covering the nodule here. You plant up to this nodule here. So as long as you've got the depth, you just spread the roots out. That's pretty good shape, that one.
And planting them bare-rooted like this applies to the climbers as well?
Yes, all the roses. They're all available at that time of the year.
And another important addition to any cottage garden is bulbs. These can be grown either in the ground or in pots, and you can move them around for effect.
We've got a pot here. So what you do is you've got a little bit of soil in the bottom. You pop in a little bit of the plant food, about a dessert spoon, which that really, not sure if that was or not, but these are actually would be 2 daffodils. They can be divided as such, because this is the second one. They'll do this naturally anyway, but if your clump becomes too big, you just, you dig it up and divide them up in the garden.
How many will we put in here?
Oh, about 5. I think it's nice to have odd numbers, no less than 3, and depending on the pot, but it looks good to have a few odds. So then we pop in a little bit of potting soil. You must use potting soil because any other soil will go like concrete in pots. You need this nice soil.
To plant a cottage garden, consider the style of your house and your lifestyle, what colour flowers you like, and if you have children, don't forget their play areas. Read up on some good books on cottage design and also visit your local nursery. Judy, what advice do you give your clients when you're setting out a cottage garden for them?
Well, first off, I would suggest they have some sort of master plan to work upon because it's important to have a layout so you've got everything organised. You can plant over a period of time with a master plan. And because it's expensive gardening, so you need to, some people don't want to spend the money straight away.
Yeah. And they don't want to come home with a little shrub. Where do I put this?
Yeah, that's right. And this way they've got it all worked out where they're going.
Cottage gardens require work year-round, but one way to cut down the load is to install a watering system.
Well, cottage gardens as such can be fairly high maintenance, but you can formalise the garden by using box hedges and lavenders, even though they all have to be pruned. Lavenders are pruned in March, and basically most gardens are maintenance because they're a living thing, and like anything that you have, if you don't look after it, it doesn't look good, so maintenance is all part of it.
As you tackle your garden, spare a thought for Michael Taff, whose award-winning cottage garden was established by his grandfather almost 80 years ago and covers over 1/3 of an acre.
The front garden alone takes 4,500 seedlings to plant out when we have a full display, and that's twice a year. And the rear garden's 4 times the size of that again.
After 70 years of neglect, the garden has been restored to its former glory by Michael and his family.
But it's a disease. It gets to you. And particularly the roses, once we start on the roses, and they are a disease, I fell in love with roses, and we have over 100 roses on the property now of heritage varieties. So that keeps me going. And the response from people, when people come to visit, they really get fired up, and I get fired up all over again, and away we go.
Coming up after the break, I'll show you how easy it is for you and the kids to make Play-Doh.
It's me.
Nobody makes ravioli like you.
Boo. Nobody makes tortellini like you.
Italians love variety.
Nobody makes agnolotti like you.
So Lego's Fresh now brings you ravioli, tortellini, agnolotti, and gnocchi in their fresh pasta range.
Oh, I've got a bit of a headache. I'm not really up to this today.
Me too. Yeah. What's he up to? Tastes good.
Aspro Clear dissolves in water to relieve pain fast.
Some cheese slices taste better than others. Next time, you better buy Bega.
the real slice of heaven from Newman's Travel that won't cost you the earth. A Kiwi bargain break for two. Return airfare plus 2 nights accommodation in Auckland or Christchurch from $599 each. Plus for $99, 2-day car hire, breakfast and lots of free sights and sounds.
She don't know she's beautiful.
Heaven can't wait. Ring the New Zealand Tourism Board or your travel agent for this limited offer.
Nobody makes agnolotti like you.
In a story more riveting than Schindler's List,
They're accusing you of horrible things, Papa.
Jessica Lange.
You've got the wrong man.
In the premiere of Music Box, next.
As a community and parents, generally, we're all becoming increasingly more aware of how important it is to stimulate our children through creative play. And it is possible to spend a lot of money doing that. There's really no need, because simple things like Play-Doh, made from the ingredients you've got in your kitchen, are terrific things for children to play with in the most amazing ways. You know, the good part about it is the children can actually make it for themselves, because it's not involving cooking at all. It's all just mixing different ingredients in a big bowl. Now, I've got Sophie Rose and Samuel here to show you just how easy it's going to be. Sophie's bowl's actually completely ready here. So, Sophie, would you like to start stirring yours? This is this wonderful pink that Sophie chose for herself. And, Samuel, we're going to put in the ingredients that we need to mix yours up. There's 2 cups of plain flour. You could use self-raising flour if you liked, but that's not important. Would you like to give that a bit of a stir while I'm measuring out a cup of salt? The salt's an interesting ingredient. It's part of the mixture, normally, but it has 2 purposes. It's a preservative, and it also makes the dough taste particularly awful if children are actually going to try and eat it. And, of course, being kids, they may well want to try out just what it tastes like. So the whole purpose is salt's going to make it taste terrible. Anyway, tip that in. Would you like to stir that again for me? Good? That's good. Yeah, you must make good cakes. You make good cakes? Sure you do. Right. Now you need a cup of cold water, and into that you put some non-toxic children's paint. These are Australian made. They're normally used to mix with water, but they make great colouring for this sort of plaything. Now, you chose yellow, Samuel, I know, because you told me it was your favourite colour. Put about a dessert spoon. This is a Todman dessert spoon. Stir it in.
Look at mine.
Oh, that's coming along really well. That's good. See, it's starting to turn into dough already. Sophie, you'd be a good cake maker too, you and your brother. Now, tip that in. Tip it in slowly. Samuel, can you stir that while I'm tipping it in, darling? Thank you. Oh, that's great. Now, I'll just help you here a moment. We'll bring in all the flour from the edges so that it doesn't splash so much. Can you do that and sort of mix it in towards the middle? Now, some antiseptic is always a good idea, because while Play-Doh will keep in the fridge for up to 3 or 4 days, a capful of disinfectant not only will keep it smelling nice, but it'll keep the bugs away and stop it being, well, it'll stop the mould growing. Let's put it that way. Now, also, just to keep it mixed nicely, a dessert spoon, another Todman dessert spoon of oil. Actually, we'll put a bit more in. There we are. That just keeps the dough very, very pliable. Now, a big stir. Pretend this is the cake of your dreams. There we are. Can I help you do that? Do you mind me helping you? Yeah. Just be strong. See, now that's mixing up really well. Now, if you find that it's just a bit messy and a bit soft, I'll just feel that. Yes, that's just a bit sticky. Add maybe another couple of scoops of flour, and that'll just make... You need some help too. Well, I'll be there in a moment. Just keep... Oh, that's looking good, though. Now, we'll just stir this a bit more, like that. Now, you can probably put your fingers in that now and start pushing it all together. That's the good part. How are you going, Sophie? Oh, that's good.
Then can I do what Samuel's doing?
So you certainly may. You'll find that this process takes a short amount of time, and if you've got children at home...
Everyone's mine.
Well, they're going to come back and watch you working with your Play-Doh in a moment. You'll find that it'll keep well in the fridge, and if you've got children home on school holidays, you can mix up a batch at the beginning of the week with them, pop it back in the fridge at night so that it's going to be kept at the optimum temperature. There we are. Now you can put your fingers in there too. See how I've squeaked that together? Want me to do that for you? Just a bit? See, that's all blended together really well. There we are. Now we put that out there. Now see, you could start pushing that down on the table, right? Wasn't that easy? Good fun, isn't it? Here, just put that back there. Now, you're allowed to squash this one. No, come on.
Just before we go, a reminder about National Volunteers Week. If we've enticed you to join Australia's strong volunteer force, here are the numbers you can call at each state volunteers branch. I'm sure they'll be delighted to hear from you. And if you'd like more information on any of the segments from tonight's show, you can ring our information line on 0055 31600. That's 0055 31600. Or if you want a fact sheet, write down the name of the segment you're interested in on the back of an envelope and send it in to us at this address. Don't forget to enclose a business-sized, stamped, self-addressed envelope. Well, that's Healthy, Wealthy and Wise for tonight. But remember to join us next week when I jump on my bike to check out what's involved in this popular sport. Jim Brown travels to Western Australia to meet one collector who has surpassed all others by collecting a town. That's Healthy, Wealthy and Wise next week. Join us then.
Guess who's arrived in Wandon Valley? A surprised visitor playing Cupid causes havoc in her son's life when Sophia Sabatini descends on Willow Tree Farm for a very special Mother's Day episode of A Country Practice, 7:30 Wednesday. Next on 10, Music Box.